morning. I am here. Oh, what am I here for? Good morning, lovelies. If you are new here, my name is Ashley with Of Fiction and Fantasy on Instagram and now TikTok. No further questions at this time. And Ashley's Reads on Twitter. I am here today to bring you a readathon vlog for Escape for 24 Hours Readathon, which is a 24 and 48 hour readathon hosted by my friend Rylanne. I will have all of her information listed down below with links to the readathon, although this will be posted after the readathon. That started about an hour and a half ago, so 8 a.m. my time, Central Standard Time, and it will go until 8 a.m. I think Sunday, August 1st. I'm quite tired, so I'm not sure if that's correct, but hopefully it is. This readathon is pretty chill. I know like you can start early or late. I did start about an hour late, so I've only done I've only done about half an hour's worth of reading, so this is pretty much the beginning. Caroline. This is, I guess, hour 2 of the readathon. I just got out of the shower and took care of the dogs, had some tea, and did some quick chores for Friday morning, so I will hopefully progressively look better each hourly update, but that's where we're at now. This readathon has 4 prompts, and I am a very slow reader, so I'm really just hoping to make progress on each book. So like one of them I'm 75% on, I want to finish that, so on. If I'm under 25, I want to get to at least 25. Obviously, ideally, I will finish these books, but let's be real, I have not the greatest track record with finishing books and like reading an entire book in 48 hours. That's not really something that I do these days. So there are 4 prompts and I have 6 books, and I will tell you all like a tiny bit about what I'm hoping to do with each book. So the first prompt is to read a book that is less than 300 pages. So none of these books are less than 300 pages. I will be cheating and reading Furyborn, which I am already 83% done with, or I was at hour 1. I have done a little bit of reading since then while I drank my tea, and now I have less than 50 pages left of that book, which it's wild, and I really want to get to the sequel, so hopefully that fits in September. I'm really hoping that we get another Bookopoly, and that would be awesome. The second prompt is a book that you have been putting off. For this one, I will be reading Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I have been putting this one off, as in I got this book from the library and I renewed it so many times. I think I can get it for like 9 weeks, and then I had to return it and get their alternate copy, and now I'll probably have to renew this one soon. So that's how this is going. I am about 13% of the way through, and it's interesting. I just am not really attached to this book. I do have it as an audiobook though, so I'm hoping that when I get to this book in my rotation that I can do like an activity with it, kind of like incentive to get to read this book, because everyone else loved it, so I'm hoping I will eventually like it. The third prompt is a book that is out of my comfort zone. I am reading What We Devour by Linsey Miller on my Kindle. I am about 10%, somewhere closer to 15% on What We Devour, and I was told that it was like a very loose Beauty and the Beast retelling, but I don't really like Beauty and the Beast in general. That's one of my least favorite fairy tales, Disney movies, I don't know. And I also read after getting this arc that it is very, very, very dark, and reading some of the trigger warnings, which there were a handful, they were not personally my trigger warnings, but they were incredibly dark, and I was like, this is gonna be a lot. So, and it's interesting so far, but again, I'm only like 10% of the way through. The fourth prompt is a book with a beautiful cover. For this one, I will be reading also on my Kindle an arc of Half Sick of Shadows by Sebastian. This one is a Merlin Arthurian era retelling, and I am about 10% of the way through with that one. And I I'm just confused. I'm just bored right now, but like I'm only 10% of the way through. And sometimes it does take me a good like 1/3 of a book to be invested. So I'm hoping that I care about the characters soon. I do find some of the quotes and like the dynamic between the main character and her mother to be definitely sad, but I have a lot of quotes that I could relate to growing up. So Furyborn is my last June book. So the other ones are all for July, and my last July book is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the sequel to From Blood and Ash. I am about 4% of the way done. I'm really liking this book so far already. Chapter 1 is like immediately following the end of the first book, so I'm already drawn in and like already care about the characters. And I think like I have to give credit to the fact that all of the other books I'm reading are book ones, and that just kind of takes me a while because I have to get invested in the characters, and I'm already invested in these characters, so that worked out well for me. And I'm excited that I added one that I'm excited about as my final one, because it gives me incentive to hurry through my other rotations and actually read them and not just play Sims. Finally, if I finish Furyborn, which I imagine I will since I have like 45 pages left, I will be starting my first August book early, which is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I am reading this for the Wheel of the Time readathon, which I will link down below. The goal is to read one Wheel of Time book a month, so I will be with these people making new friends for like the next 13 months, and then I plan to start Brandon Sanderson books finally. I did the math on this, and there are 53 chapters in this book, and so for me to get through it on time, I'm sorry, Carolina's chewing on her bone in the background. Hopefully that won't happen in the other segments. So I'd have to read 1.7 chapters a day in order to finish this by August 31st. So I'm hoping to read a chapter or two each day of the readathon, just to give myself a little bit of a head start, because this is a very thick book, and as you all know, I read 3 to 5 books at a time, so I'm worried about not finishing that. But that's everything that I have for you guys for now. I'm going to get started on Where the Crawdads Sing. I'm going to try and film a miniature version of this vlog for TikTok, and we'll see if that works out. It has been a really bad week with some family emergencies, so I am really looking forward to reading this weekend and hopefully keeping my mind off of things, because there's nothing that I can do, unfortunately, for my family at this time. So I will try and check back in every hour-ish or so, or like when I make progress in a book, so maybe not every hour. We'll see how it goes. Bye guys. Okay, open the bark box. It is now almost 6 p.m. My brain is turned off for the weekend, so I don't know what hour we're at. I went to Bath and Body Works last weekend and I got this body lotion that I'll have to show you guys later. It's called Strawberry Shortcake, and I put it like all over my legs and my arms and everything, and now the Labradors keep trying to eat me. Update on books. I finished Furyborn, and wow, I will have my thoughts on it in my June wrap up because that was my last June book. So I'm just so glad like to be done with it in the first place because it took me an entire month to read it. I don't really have any like actual complaints about the book. I really enjoyed it. So, and I definitely want to get to the sequel. I already have my August TBR and it's quite crammed already. So September at the earliest, I could try and get my hands on a sequel. I know a bookstore here has it. If I can find it for cheap, that would be a lot better. So, or at the library, so we'll see. I would like it on a physical format though, because I was reading it a lot faster when I had it from the library and not as much when it was on the ebook. So now that that is over with, I have room to work solely on my July books. For August books, I will be starting The Eye of the World tomorrow because it'll only be one day early and I'm only going to read a chapter or two. I just kind of want to get a little bit ahead of the game because again, we know I'm a turtle. So I will start this tomorrow, but I need some time to process the ending of Furyborn. And now I am working on Where the Crawdads Sing as my main book that I am reading. I am a little past 20% now. I've been listening on the audiobook while I made no-bake trail mix cookies, which honestly are some of my favorite cookies ever. I was going to film myself making them. Like I recognize in retrospect that that would have been good vlogging content, but it was just so much easier to just go in the kitchen, put my apron on and cook while I listened to my audiobook, and I completely forgot about you guys for a minute. So my bad. No significant progress on A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire yet. No significant progress on either of my two arcs. But I am now going to dinner and with Michael, and I will hopefully, if they're still open, stop in at my local bookstore. I don't need any new books, but there are some books that are on my TBR for next month that I would really like a physical copy of. So we'll see if the book gods have in store in the sorting shelf those particular books that people in Kansas didn't want them for this week. We'll see how that goes. I will hopefully get some reading done as soon as I get home. I will get back to it until I fall asleep. And hopefully I won't play Sims instead of reading, but we'll see. This feels really strange because I feel like one of my neighbors is going to show up behind me and just listen to my entire vlog. And I actually didn't read much for the rest of the day because I went downtown and I went to the bookstore Where the Crawdads Sing, my primary book, and I listened to that on audio. I was somewhere between 20 to 25% and I was not loving it. Half Sick of Shadows by Sebastian, who I did not realize is like BFFs with Sasha Ellsberg. So I'm trying to be objective. I don't know, guys. I like Arthurian books, but this one I'm really struggling with. My friend Rylanne said that she really enjoyed it and that it's more of like a slow burn to the action, so I'm hoping I like it more. What We Devour, I'm about 20% in. I'm very confused with like the dual rot and the vile rot and the rites and everything like that, so I'm hoping that starts to make more sense. There's just so much human sacrifice and I'm like, oh god. Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, which is really good. I am already over 10% done, so I'm gonna keep reading that. I'm almost to page 100 now, so I'm not sure what percentage that will put me at. And I wonder if you guys can even hear me over the wind. I guess we'll find out. I've never vlogged outside before. Finally, I am hoping to start The Eye of the World as my first August book, so I'll either start that August 1st or later tonight. I might watch a movie, so we'll see. And very finally, I know I said finally for the last one, this one's finally for real, I put up a poll to see what my next August book should be, because I have The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller, which I found out I actually got on sale for like $1.99 in January, so I already own it as an ebook. That's the team book for the Enneagramathon, type 3, as if that weren't obvious. And then I have Between You, Me, and the Honeybees, which my library got for me as part of a pre-order campaign, so like obviously that one will be due back soon. And then I also have Love People Use Things by Joshua Fields Millburn and Ryan Nicodemus / The Minimalist, and that's an arc that I should have read in June from Bookish First. So I'm really torn on which book to start first. I'm going to see if I can get the dogs to come to me. That'll be really cute vlog content, right? Hi, Labrador. Hi. Hey. How are you? Hello, lovelies. It is the end of the readathon. It is almost 4 p.m. on Sunday, so I did finish reading this morning. I think when I woke up, I read about a chapter and then I called it quits. This readathon was awesome. Thank you so much to Rylanne for hosting this. It is one of the, I would say, best host duties that I have seen in a readathon. She hosted live sprints. She kept going with sprints throughout the Discord, and everyone was so enthusiastic about being a participant that it made this readathon so fun and so easy to stay dedicated to. And I even didn't play Sims the entire weekend, which is really saying a lot, so thanks again, Rylanne, for hosting. I am going to go over how I did for the weekend, how much I read. These books are all part of readathons from July and one from June. I don't want to talk about it. And so they will be in wrap-ups, so I will only give like a very brief, like one sentence what my thoughts are. And you can see my thoughts on these books in their respective videos to come. So the first book that I started reading was Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I had this on my ebook. Sorry y'all, my card memory was full, so hopefully now I can remember which 2 cards I filmed this readathon on. Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This was my final June book. I started at 83% and I did manage to finish this book, which was a relief because if I carried a June book into August, I would be so upset with myself. So I read about 17% of Furyborn, which means about 85 pages to be able to finish it, and I finished it during a sprint. It was very fun. It was a wild read. It was quite chaotic, which I think is the point of the book, and I need the sequel immediately. Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I was reading this book as a buddy read, but mostly because my librarian told me that it would be a 5-star read for me. And I'm realizing now that she told me that after I had checked out Dragonfly and Amber, and we all know my thoughts on Dragonfly and Amber. So I started at 13% and I made it to 14%. No, what? I started at 13%. I made it to 24%. So about 42 pages or so. I was still incredibly bored. I listened to this on an audiobook, which is the only reason that I managed to get through that far. I did zone out a lot while I was baking cookies, and I was thinking, I am so bored with half of the books that I'm reading, and it's kind of putting me into a reading slump for I think the first time in all of 2021, and I don't think I had a reading slump in 2020 either. So that was bad. I am a completionist. I was trying to figure out what to do, like could I just force myself to churn on, and then I saw all of the stuff on Twitter about this book and the author, and I thought, you know I don't DNF books, but there's a first time for everything. So I brought it back to the library and it's gone now. I'm counting the 42 pages because I deserve it, but I do not need to read any more of that. Moving on. I read Half Sick of Shadows by Sebastian. I started at 10% and I am now at about 15%. That's about 22 pages. I'm very confused. I'm wondering if maybe I did the math wrong on this and maybe I read further, but I do not have my tablet. I actually left it under the seat of my car, so I need to go get it. But this book was really boring also. And I was like, do I need to DNF this one too? But it's an arc, so probably not. But once we started getting to about 1 chapter ago, so somewhere around like the 13% mark, it started actually getting interesting. So I'm glad that I kept giving it a chance. We met one of the characters' mothers, and I thought her story was very interesting. And I think we're finally to the point where we're not going to be on. It's like a triple timeline, so it's like the past, the current, and then visions of the future, and I just don't vibe with that. I don't love timelines that are constantly swapping in both the setting and the time. That's just, I can handle it sometimes, but when it was happening in that one and where Crawdads sing and Furyborn, I was a disaster trying to keep up with all of them, especially because I was reading so many fantasy books that have like somewhat similar settings, like the like royal-ish. It's just getting jumbled in my head, and I didn't enjoy it. So once I finished Furyborn and returned Where the Crawdads Sing, I stuck to 3 books for the weekend, and I just rotated on those 3, and that seems to have been helping me. Next, I was working on What We Devour by Linsey Miller. And this one I started at 10%, I am now at 30%, so I read roughly 67 pages. I was so confused with the dual right, noble rot, vile right. It was a lot. And I think I'm finally starting to understand the terminology of the book, which is good, and it's making it easier for me because I kept reading the same paragraphs over and over and hoping that it would make sense. So I do understand that, but I don't care for any of the characters currently. Finally, for books that I have been reading, I started A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, and for this one, I didn't mean to match this book, but I kind of do. I tried braiding a ribbon into my hair for the first time, and it didn't go very well, and it's also been hours, so it's falling out. But I had fun, and I went and got more ribbon at the store that won't blend with my hair color. Anyways, Kingdom of Flesh and Fire by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a sequel, and so I will say I'm probably biased because I'm already introduced all of the characters, and we kind of got to jump straight into the plot. So that was so refreshing. Instead of like getting through 30 to 50% of a first book of a trilogy, which I assume they all are. Maybe that's making assumptions. Maybe those books aren't series books. I'm not sure. But it was really nice to get into a book with familiar characters, so that was great. I'm really enjoying it. I am actually already at 26% on Goodreads, so I read about 125 pages, which for me is great, and I have been really enjoying that. I keep a different pack of tabs in each room, and I didn't realize that they have different endings, so that's bothering me a lot, and I'll have to change those out later, but it's fine. I'm really enjoying this book. It's been my favorite book that I have read so far this weekend. Those are all of my July books. Finally, I will be starting The Eye of the World next. This will be my first August book. By the way, happy August, it's August 1st. This I am reading for the Wheel of Time read along. We'll see how far I can manage to keep up with that, since I normally like to take a break every other month for series. That's gonna be a long year in a little bit, especially because I have found out my moving dates, and it is in less than a year. I know the exact date, but I am not going to post about it until we're probably already on our way to our house. So it will be at some point during that 14-month readathon. I'm really excited to finally have that and just like not have to worry that I'll be moving a week from now with no notice. So in total, I read 341 pages this weekend, which for me is awesome. That's like reading an entire book in 48 hours. And I slept and was out for a lot. I bought some plants. I actually went to the bookstore and bought some books as well. I think it was a great readathon. I had a lot of fun, and I hope that I managed to record enough vlogging content. It was a good weekend, and I really enjoyed myself. And I am so happy that our heat wave is finally coming to an end, and I went out and bought some flowers, so I am going to plant those. I got orange, so it'll kind of transition from summer to autumn coming up soon, and hopefully I keep these ones alive. I hope that you guys had a great readathon if you were involved. Let me know how well you did, and if you are planning on taking part in any August readathons, I wish you the best of luck. If you want to see more readathon content or stick around for my upcoming August TBR where I do 3 readathons, then like and subscribe below. I hope that you guys have a wonderful August. Bye.